In a small, vibrant town where cultures blended and stories intertwined, 12-year-old Jamal Carter stood tall. He beamed with pride as he announced to his classmates, "My mom is the new mayor." But instead of cheers, he was met with snickers. "Yeah, right?" one boy shouted. "What's she done?" "Nothing." Jamal's heart sank. He didn't understand why his classmates reacted this way. Dr. Simone Carter wasn't just the mayor. She was a beacon of hope for their community. The classroom buzzed with disbelief. Jamal felt the weight of skepticism pressing down on him. "You'll see," he insisted, voice trembling. "She's going to change everything." But the laughter continued, and Jamal's excitement dimmed. What should have been a proud moment turned sour. Days turned into weeks, and Jamal faced relentless teasing. "Mayor's kid, mayor's kid," they chanted during recess. Each taunt stung like a bee, and Jamal began to question his mother's position. Did they really think she couldn't make a difference? Or was it something deeper, something darker? Jamal noticed strange glances from teachers too. Whispers filled the hallways. "How did she win?" one teacher asked another, eyes narrowed. "Must be some kind of trick." The tension thickened. Jamal felt isolated, trapped in a web of prejudice that he couldn't untangle. Determined to defend his mother, Jamal began his own investigation. He dug through old newspapers and online articles, searching for clues about Dr. Carter's rise to power. What he found shocked him. There were discrepancies in her campaign promises. Things she had said during debates didn't match up with her actions after taking office. One project promised to revitalize the local park had mysteriously stalled. Another initiative aimed at improving school funding had vanished without a trace. Why is nobody talking about this? Jamal wondered aloud as he pieced together the puzzle. One afternoon, Jamal confronted his mother. "Why aren't you doing anything about the park?" he demanded, frustration boiling over. Dr. Simone Carter looked taken aback. "Jamal, I'm doing my best. Politics are complicated." "But you promised," he shouted, tears of anger filling his eyes. Her expression hardened for a moment, a flicker of something that made Jamal's stomach churn. "You don't understand how things work," she replied coldly. That night, Jamal couldn't sleep. Doubts gnawed at him like hungry wolves. What was his mother hiding? The following day, Jamal decided to dig deeper. He snuck into the town hall after school, heart racing as he slipped past the receptionist. In the dimly lit office, he rifled through files until he stumbled upon a folder labeled "Campaign Donations." His breath caught in his throat as he opened it. Names jumped out at him, wealthy donors, many with questionable backgrounds. One name stood out: Victor Langston, a notorious figure linked to shady business deals. Why would Mom accept money from him? Jamal whispered to himself, panic rising in his chest. Just then, the door creaked open. Jamal froze, heart pounding like a drum. It was his mother. "Jamal, what are you doing here?" she exclaimed, eyes wide with shock. He clutched the folder tightly, ready to confront her. "Why did you take money from Victor Langston?" Her face paled, and for a moment, Jamal saw fear flicker in her eyes, an emotion he had never associated with her before. "Jamal, it's not what you think," she started, but he cut her off. "No, you lied to me," he shouted, voice echoing in the empty office. Dr. Carter stepped closer, desperation etched on her face. "I did what I had to do for our family." "Family?" he echoed incredulously. "You're betraying our town." As Jamal stormed out of the office, a plan formed in his mind. He would expose his mother, show everyone the truth behind her election and her connections to Langston. But as he reached the parking lot, he overheard two men talking in hushed tones near a black SUV. "Make sure she knows what happens if she doesn't follow through," one man said ominously. Jamal's blood ran cold. Follow through with what? He thought. Suddenly, everything clicked into place: the stalled projects, the whispers at school, and now this threat looming over his mother. Jamal raced home, heart pounding in his chest. He knew he had to make a choice: expose his mother or protect her from whatever danger was closing in. But how could he trust her now? Could he really turn her in after everything they'd been through? That night, Jamal lay awake, torn between loyalty and justice. The next morning brought a chilling revelation: Dr. Simone Carter was missing. Panic surged through Jamal as he frantically searched for clues around the house. Her phone was left behind. Her purse was untouched. He dialed 911, voice shaking as he reported her disappearance. "Please hurry. My mom is the mayor. She's in trouble." As he hung up, a shadow crossed his window, a figure lurking outside. Jamal's breath caught in his throat as he peered outside. Who were they? And what did they want with his mother? The screen fades to black as suspense hangs thick in the air. Will Jamal uncover the truth behind his mother's disappearance? What dark secrets lie hidden beneath the surface of their small town? And can he save Dr. Simone Carter before it's too late? Jamal's heart raced as he pressed his face against the cold glass of his bedroom window. The figure outside was cloaked in shadows, barely illuminated by the dim streetlight. Who were they? What did they want with his mother? He grabbed his phone, fingers trembling as he dialed 911 again. "My mom is missing. I think someone is outside my house." "Stay calm," the operator instructed. "Can you see what they're doing?" Jamal squinted, trying to make out the figure's features. Just then, the figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face: Victor Langston. "Mom!" Jamal shouted, panic surging through him. He felt a mix of anger and fear. Why was Langston here? Without thinking, Jamal bolted down the stairs and flung open the front door. "What do you want?" he yelled, his voice cracking with emotion. Langston turned, surprise flickering across his face. "Jamal, where's your mother?" "I don't know. What have you done to her?" Jamal demanded, fists clenched at his sides. "Listen to me," Langston said, stepping closer, his tone suddenly serious. "I'm not your enemy. Your mother got in over her head with some people she shouldn't have messed with." "What do you mean?" Jamal asked, confusion clouding his mind. "They're dangerous, kid," Langston continued, glancing around as if expecting someone to jump out at any moment. "She took money from them, money with strings attached. Now they want their return on investment." Jamal's stomach dropped. Was this why his mother had been acting so strange? Why had she kept him in the dark? "Where is she?" Jamal pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. "I don't know," Langston admitted, frustration evident in his tone. "But if we don't find her soon, it'll be too late." Without thinking twice, Jamal made a decision. "Then we need to work together." Langston nodded, and they jumped into his SUV. As they sped down the darkened streets of their small town, Jamal's mind raced. Who were these people threatening his mother? And what had she gotten herself into? Langston drove them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place that felt like a scene straight out of a crime movie. "This is where I think they're holding her," he said, glancing nervously around. As they approached the entrance, Jamal noticed a flickering light coming from inside. They crept forward, hearts pounding in sync with their footsteps. Suddenly, they heard voices, low murmurs growing louder as they neared the door. "She needs to pay us back," one voice growled. "We can't let her get away with this." Jamal's breath caught in his throat. They were talking about his mother. With adrenaline coursing through him, Jamal pushed the door open just enough to peek inside. His eyes widened as he saw a group of men gathered around a table covered in papers and cash. And there, tied to a chair in the corner, was Dr. Simone Carter. "Mom!" Jamal gasped, but Langston quickly placed a hand over his mouth. "Wait!" he whispered urgently. "We need a plan." As they listened intently, Jamal's heart sank further. He overheard them discussing how Dr. Carter had mismanaged funds, money meant for community projects that had mysteriously disappeared into thin air. "Once we have her out of the way," one man said with a sinister grin, "we can take control of the town." Jamal's mind raced as he processed this shocking revelation. His mother wasn't just involved in shady deals. She was deeply entangled in a web of corruption that threatened their entire community. "Okay," Langston said quietly. "We have to distract them while we get her out." Jamal nodded, determination flooding his veins. He spotted a stack of crates nearby and gestured toward them. "I can create a diversion." Langston agreed and positioned himself near the entrance while Jamal quietly moved behind the crates. With a deep breath, he kicked one of the crates over, creating a loud crash that echoed through the warehouse. "What was that?" one of the men shouted, turning toward the noise. Now was his chance. Jamal darted toward his mother, heart racing as he reached her side. "Mom, I'm here." Dr. Carter looked up at him, eyes filled with both fear and pride. "Jamal, you shouldn't be here. I'm getting you out," he insisted as he fumbled with the ropes binding her wrists. Just then, one of the men spotted them and lunged forward. "Stop right there." In an instant, chaos erupted. Langston charged into the room, tackling the man before he could reach them. "Go! I'll hold them off." Jamal's heart raced as he finally freed his mother from her restraints. "Come on!" They sprinted toward the exit just as more men rushed into the room, shouting and cursing. "Get them!" one yelled. With adrenaline pumping through their veins, Jamal and Dr. Carter dashed out into the night air, Langston close behind them. They ran until they reached the SUV, scrambling inside as Langston slammed the door shut. "Drive!" Jamal shouted, and Langston obeyed without hesitation. As they sped away from the warehouse, Dr. Carter turned to Jamal, panic etched on her face. "How did you find me? You shouldn't have come." "I overheard Langston," Jamal replied breathlessly. "But Mom, what's really going on? Why were they after you?" Dr. Carter took a deep breath, her expression shifting from fear to resolve. "I thought I could help our community by accepting funding for projects that would benefit everyone, but I didn't realize how corrupt those people were." Jamal felt a wave of betrayal wash over him. "So you knew it was wrong?" "I thought I could control it," she admitted, tears glistening in her eyes. "But it spiraled out of control before I knew it." Just then, Langston pulled off onto a dark side road and parked the SUV behind some trees. "We need to lay low for a while," he said urgently. "Why are you helping us?" Dr. Carter asked, suspicion creeping into her voice. Langston sighed heavily. "Because I care about this town too," he replied earnestly. "I may have made mistakes in my past, but I want to make things right." But before anyone could respond, Jamal noticed something shiny on the ground, a small flash drive glinting under the dim light of the moon. "What's this?" he wondered aloud as he picked it up. "That's important," Langston said quickly. "It contains evidence against those men, proof of their illegal activities." Jamal's eyes widened with realization. "If we expose them, we can clear your name." Dr. Carter nodded slowly, hope igniting within her once more. Yes, this could turn everything around. Suddenly, Jamal heard distant sirens approaching, a reminder that time was running out. "We need to move fast," he urged as they scrambled back into the SUV. As they drove away from the scene, Jamal felt both fear and determination surge within him. They had to get to safety and expose the truth before it was too late. But just then, Langston's phone buzzed violently against the dashboard, a text message flashing ominously across the screen. "We know you're with her. You won't get away." Jamal's heart dropped as dread settled in his stomach. Who were these people, and how far would they go to silence them? They drove in silence for a few moments until Dr. Carter broke it with urgency in her voice. "We need to get to my office. It's secure there." Langston nodded and took off toward town again. But Jamal couldn't shake off the feeling that danger was closing in fast. As they approached City Hall, lights flickered ominously in the distance. Police cars were already surrounding the building. "What's happening?" Jamal asked anxiously. "It must be part of their plan to take me down," Dr. Carter said grimly. Just then, another text came through on Langston's phone. "You won't make it." Panic gripped Jamal as he realized they were being hunted like prey being stalked by predators in the night. Suddenly, 3 black SUVs pulled out from an alleyway ahead and blocked their path. "Get out!" one of the men shouted from inside one of the vehicles. Jamal felt his heart race as Langston slammed on the brakes just inches away from colliding with them. "Mom!" he shouted as fear washed over him again. But Dr. Carter looked determined, her eyes blazing with resolve as she clutched the flash drive tightly in her hand. "This ends now," she declared fiercely. Just then, police sirens echoed in the distance. Backup was coming, but would it arrive in time? As tensions escalated and darkness surrounded them like a thick fog, Jamal realized that this fight was far from over and that uncovering the truth might cost them everything. What will happen next? Will Dr. Carter manage to expose those who threaten her life? Can Jamal navigate this dangerous world alongside his mother and Langston? The three black SUVs loomed ominously in front of them, engines rumbling like a predator's growl. Jamal's heart raced as he glanced at his mother, who was gripping the flash drive so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Mom, we can't stay here," he urged, panic rising in his throat. Dr. Carter nodded, her expression resolute. "We have to buy time until the police arrive. We can't let them take this evidence." Just then, one of the men stepped out of the lead SUV, a smug smile plastered across his face. "You really thought you could escape us? Hand over the drive, and maybe we'll let you walk away." Jamal felt a surge of anger. "You won't get anything from us." Langston quickly scanned their surroundings. "We need to create a distraction," he whispered urgently. "Like what?" Jamal asked, desperation creeping into his voice. "Follow my lead," Langston said, his eyes narrowing as he formulated a plan. As the man approached their vehicle, Langston suddenly threw open the door and leaped out, drawing the attention of the men surrounding them. "Hey, over here!" he shouted, waving his arms wildly. "Langston, no!" Dr. Carter exclaimed, but it was too late. The men turned their attention to Langston, who was now sprinting toward the alleyway, leading them away from Jamal and Dr. Carter. "Now!" Jamal yelled, seizing the opportunity. He quickly opened his door and grabbed his mother's hand. "We have to move." They scrambled out of the SUV and dashed toward the nearby bushes, hearts pounding as they ducked behind the thick foliage. "What's the plan now?" Dr. Carter whispered, her voice urgent but steady. "We need to get to your office," Jamal replied, glancing back to see if Langston was still distracting the men. "We can upload the evidence before they find us." As they made their way through the shadows, Jamal's mind raced with fear and determination. They had to expose the truth before it was too late. Suddenly, Jamal's phone buzzed in his pocket, a text message from an unknown number. *, you're in over your head. You don't know who you're dealing with. *. His stomach dropped. Who was this? Was it one of the men? "Mom, I just got a strange text," he said, showing her the message. Dr. Carter frowned as she read it. "They're trying to intimidate you, but we can't let that stop us." As they reached her office building, Jamal felt a sense of urgency wash over him. They had to act fast. Inside, Dr. Carter quickly booted up her computer while Jamal stood guard by the door, listening for any sign of danger. Come on," she muttered as the screen flickered to life. Just then, another text came through. *, you're not safe anywhere. The truth will bury you. *. Jamal's heart raced as he realized they were being hunted like prey in a game where the stakes were life and death. As Dr. Carter began uploading the files from the flash drive, Jamal noticed a shadow lurking outside the window. "Mom, someone's coming!" he shouted, adrenaline surging through him. Dr. Carter quickly hit save and turned to him just as the door burst open. The same man from earlier stormed in, flanked by two others. "You thought you could hide?" he sneered, eyes glinting with malice. Before Jamal could react, Dr. Carter stepped forward defiantly. "You won't get away with this." But just then, a loud crash echoed from outside, the sound of shattering glass followed by frantic shouting. "What now?" Jamal wondered aloud as chaos erupted outside. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang through the air. Langston was back. "Get down!" he yelled as he burst through the door, holding a makeshift weapon, a metal pipe he had grabbed from somewhere. "Langston!" Jamal shouted in relief but quickly realized they were still in danger. The men turned their attention to Langston as he swung the pipe at one of them, knocking him off balance. "Get them out of here!" he yelled at Dr. Carter and Jamal. With renewed determination, Dr. Carter grabbed Jamal's hand. "We need to go now." They dashed past Langston and out into the hallway just as more men flooded into the office behind them. "Where do we go?" Jamal gasped as they sprinted down the corridor. "Through the back exit," Dr. Carter shouted, leading him toward a door marked "Emergency Exit." As they reached it, Jamal glanced back to see Langston still fighting off their attackers. "We can't leave him. He'll be fine. He's buying us time," Dr. Carter insisted, urgency lacing her voice. They burst through the emergency exit and found themselves in an alley behind the building. But before they could catch their breath, Jamal heard footsteps approaching from behind them. "Stop right there," a voice commanded. Jamal turned to see a police officer standing at the end of the alley, gun drawn and ready. "Wait, we're not," Jamal started but was cut off by another shout from behind him. "Jamal, get down!" Before he could react, a gunshot rang out echoing through the alley as Dr. Carter pushed him to the ground just in time. "Mom!" he cried out in shock as she fell beside him, clutching her shoulder where blood began to seep through her shirt. Panic surged through Jamal as he rushed to his mother's side. "No, Mom!" Dr. Carter gritted her teeth in pain but looked up at him with fierce determination. "Jamal, we have to keep going. It's not over yet." Just then, more police officers arrived on the scene, guns drawn and ready for action. "Freeze! Hands where I can see them!" one officer shouted at them as they approached cautiously. "Wait, we're not the enemy," Jamal pleaded desperately, tears welling in his eyes for his mother's safety. But before anyone could respond, an unexpected figure emerged from behind the officers, a familiar face that sent shockwaves through Jamal's mind. "Detective Monroe?" Jamal gasped as he recognized his mother's old friend from childhood, the very detective who had been investigating corruption in their town. Monroe stepped forward with urgency in her eyes. "Jamal, we're here to help. Your mother is in danger. We need to get her out of here." As they helped Dr. Carter to her feet, she spoke through gritted teeth. "Monroe, it's all connected. Those men, they're part of something bigger." Monroe nodded gravely as they moved toward safety behind police vehicles that had arrived on scene. "We know about their operations," she said urgently, "but we need your help to bring them down." Jamal felt a surge of hope amidst the chaos. "What do you mean?" Monroe looked directly at him with intensity. "Your mother isn't just a victim. She's been targeted because she uncovered evidence against city officials involved in this corruption scheme." Dr. Carter winced but pressed on through her pain. "I thought I could expose them without putting anyone at risk, but I was wrong." Jamal felt a mix of anger and disbelief wash over him. "So all this time, it wasn't just about money?" "No," Monroe replied gravely. "It's about power control over this town and its people." Suddenly, chaos erupted again as one of the men who had been pursuing them reappeared at the mouth of the alleyway with reinforcements, more armed thugs ready for battle. "They're coming for us!" one officer shouted as they prepared for confrontation. Jamal's mind raced with fear and determination as he clutched his mother's hand tightly. "We can't let them win." Monroe looked at him with fierce resolve. "Then we fight back." As bullets flew and chaos erupted around them, Jamal felt a rush of adrenaline surge through him. This was no longer just about survival. It was about justice for his mother and their community. In that moment of chaos and uncertainty, Jamal spotted something glimmering on the ground, a fallen weapon from one of the thugs who had been taken down by police fire. He grabbed it instinctively, a small handgun, and turned to Monroe and Dr. Carter with newfound determination in his eyes. "I'll help," he declared fiercely. "Let's take them down together." With that declaration echoing in his heart like a battle cry, he charged forward alongside Monroe and Dr. Carter, ready to face whatever dangers awaited them in this fight for truth and justice. As bullets whizzed by and shouts filled the air, Jamal knew this battle was far from over and that uncovering the truth would change everything they thought they knew about their town and themselves. What will happen next? Will they succeed in exposing the corruption? Can they protect themselves and each other from those who threaten their lives? Stay tuned for Part 4, where alliances will be tested and secrets will be unveiled. The air was thick with tension as Jamal, Dr. Carter, and Detective Monroe prepared to face the armed men advancing toward them. Jamal clutched the handgun tightly, his heart racing as he felt the weight of the moment settle heavily on his shoulders. "Stay close," Monroe shouted, leading the charge as they moved into a defensive position behind a nearby police vehicle. Dr. Carter grimaced in pain but stood tall, her resolve unbroken. "We have to protect the evidence. It's our only chance to bring them down." Jamal nodded, adrenaline coursing through him. "Let's do this." As the thugs approached, the sounds of gunfire erupted around them. Jamal could feel the heat of the bullets whizzing past, but he focused on the task at hand. He aimed the handgun with trembling hands, heart pounding in his chest. "Jamal, don't hesitate," Monroe urged, taking cover beside him. He took a deep breath and squeezed the trigger, the gun kicking back in his hand as he fired at one of the advancing men. The shot rang true, sending the thug sprawling to the ground. "Nice shot," Monroe encouraged, her voice steady amidst the chaos. With renewed confidence, Jamal continued to fire, each shot fueled by the desire to protect his mother and expose the truth. Around them, officers were engaged in a fierce firefight with the remaining thugs. But just as they seemed to gain the upper hand, Jamal noticed a figure slipping away from the fray, a man in a suit with a familiar face. It was Mayor Thompson, his expression twisted in fear as he made a break for it. "Mom, it's him," Jamal shouted, pointing toward the mayor. Dr. Carter's eyes widened. "He's part of this. We can't let him escape. Monroe, cover us," Jamal yelled as he and Dr. Carter dashed toward the mayor. "Go, I'll hold them off," Monroe shouted, firing at the thugs to provide cover. As they sprinted after Mayor Thompson, Jamal's mind raced with thoughts of what he would say when they caught him. They had to make him answer for everything: the corruption, the threats against their lives. "Stop," Jamal shouted as they closed in on him. "You can't run forever." The mayor glanced back, panic etched across his face. "You don't know what you're getting into," he yelled back, desperation fueling his speed. But Jamal and Dr. Carter were relentless. They pushed forward, adrenaline giving them strength as they rounded a corner and found themselves in an alleyway. Finally cornered, Mayor Thompson stumbled to a halt, panting heavily. "You think you can take me down? I have powerful friends." Jamal stepped forward, anger boiling within him. "Your friends are criminals. You've been using your power to hurt people." Dr. Carter joined him, her voice steady despite her injury. "You've put our lives at risk for your greed. We have evidence that can bring you down." The mayor sneered, but Jamal could see fear creeping into his eyes. "You think anyone will believe you? I control this town." Just then, Monroe appeared at their side, weapon drawn and ready. "Not for long," she said confidently. "The police have enough evidence to arrest you and your associates." At that moment, sirens blared in the distance as more police units arrived on scene. Mayor Thompson's bravado began to falter as he realized his escape route had been cut off. "You won't get away with this," he spat defiantly. "Oh, but we will," Monroe replied coolly. "You're finished." As officers swarmed into the alleyway, they quickly apprehended Thompson and cuffed him, dragging him away as he shouted protests that fell on deaf ears. With the immediate threat neutralized, Jamal turned back to his mother, who was being tended to by paramedics. He rushed to her side, worry etched on his face. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked urgently. "I'm fine," she assured him through gritted teeth. "Just a graze, nothing I can't handle." As they waited for more medical attention, Jamal felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had faced danger head-on and emerged victorious not just for themselves but for their community. Days later, as news reports flooded in about the mayor's arrest and the corruption scandal that had rocked their town, Jamal stood beside Dr. Carter and Detective Monroe at a press conference. "This is just the beginning," Monroe stated firmly to reporters. "We will continue to investigate those involved in this corruption and ensure justice is served." Jamal felt a swell of pride as he watched his mother speak passionately about their fight for truth and justice. "We cannot allow power to go unchecked," Dr. Carter said resolutely. "We must stand together to protect our community." As they left the press conference, Jamal turned to his mother with a smile. "You did it, Mom. We did it." She smiled back, her eyes shining with pride. "We couldn't have done it without you, Jamal." Langston joined them moments later, a wide grin on his face. "I can't believe we actually took down the mayor. What a story." Jamal chuckled, feeling lighter than he had in days. "Yeah, but it's just the beginning." As they walked together into the future, one filled with hope and determination, they knew they had forged an unbreakable bond through their shared struggle. In the weeks that followed, Jamal became more involved in local activism alongside his mother and Langston. They worked tirelessly to ensure that their community remained vigilant against corruption and that everyone had a voice. Though they had faced darkness together, they emerged stronger, ready to fight for justice and change in their town. And as Jamal looked toward the horizon, he realized that while their battle was won, the fight for truth would always continue. As they stood together on a community stage speaking out against injustice, Jamal understood that this was just the beginning of a lifelong journey dedicated to making their world a better place. With hearts full of hope and determination, they stepped forward into a brighter future where truth would always prevail over darkness.